Today we're talking about the cost of traveling in Cambodia. This is part of a new series where we are going to look at the cost of traveling in different countries. We will talk about 5 main costs: food and drinks, accommodation, transportation, sightseeing, and other expenses. Other expenses will include things like travel taxes, visa costs, and the costs that do not fall into the other categories, but you still will want to know about and consider when traveling in a particular country. Let's get started with talking about food and drinks because we love to eat. Cambodian food is influenced by neighboring countries, but they do have some local Khmer dishes. For the most part, we ate a lot of fried rice and seafood. On average, we spent between $18 and $20 per person per day. Yvonne and I are not budget travelers, but we are not necessarily luxury travelers either. We would consider ourselves low to mid-range travelers. So the cost of food could be more or less depending on your travel style. We are also not heavy drinkers or partiers, which means we didn't spend a lot of money on drinking. With that said, the average cost of a beer was around $1 and mixed drinks were around $2 to $3. Yvonne and I did eat at nicer places a few nights, and those nights the bills were around $25 to $30 for 2 people. The cost of a bottle of water was about $1 and some hotels include breakfast with the room. If not, there are many restaurants serving eggs and pancakes plus local options. Breakfast cost us around $2 to $3 per person some days, but most of our hotels offered breakfast. For 1 week of traveling, we spent around $135 per person for food costs. Moving on to accommodations. Like I said before, Yvonne and I are not budget travelers, so this is where we spent more money than most backpackers. On average, we spent $17.50 per person per night. This is about 2 to 3 times more than most backpackers will pay. In Siem Reap or Chinookville, you can get a dorm room for under $5 per night per person. With that said, we enjoy having swimming pools and a nice shower, which is why we spend a little more on rooms. We were in the mid-range for accommodations, but there are nicer places if you are more of a luxury traveler. If you're looking for a place to stay, click on the links below in the description. We have low, mid, and high-range hotels and hostels depending on your budget and travel style. Overall, Yvonne and I really enjoyed our hotels, and one of the best ones was the Blue Lime Hotel in Phnom Penh. When it comes to transportation, most city transportation is done by tuk-tuks. They range in price depending on the city and distance. Tuk-tuks from the airport to the city center in Phnom Penh cost about $7, but it will really depend on where your hotel is located. Most of the other cities like Siem Reap are much smaller, which means the prices should be around $4 to $6 to get anywhere in town. Most of the time, tuk-tuks cost us about $2 to $3 per ride. You can also rent one for the whole day for about $20 to $25, and they will take you anywhere you want to go. Most people do this in Siem Reap as part of the temple tours. Our hotel worked with a few tuk-tuk drivers and they were happy to take us around for the day. Other transportation costs can include flights, buses, and boats. We went from Phnom Penh to Siem Reap by plane and it cost us about $38 per person. This saved us about 4 hours. The bus ride to Siem Reap costs around $6 to $15 depending on the bus company, but it takes around 6 hours. We were more interested in saving time, which is why we flew. We also took a boat from Siem Reap to Battambang, which was really fun and cost $21 per person and took the whole day, or about 8 hours. On average, we spent $10 per day per person on transportation, which we thought was very reasonable. Cambodia is a really amazing country to visit because it is really pretty and has some of the best temples in Asia. Yvonne and I went to most of the major sites including the Killing Fields, the Royal Palace, Sunrise at Angkor Wat, the Siem Reap Night Market, S21 Prison, the Bat Caves, and many, many more. Overall, we spent about $250 on sightseeing, or around $125 per person. This allowed us to see all the major sites, and we kept busy during our trip. We could have done more, but we feel we saw most of the things, and after seeing 20 or 30 temples in 2 weeks, you start to think, is the next one really worth it? The most expensive sightseeing activity was the Angkor Archaeological Park, which is the main park for all the temples in Siem Reap. We bought a 3-day pass, which cost $62 per person. This was our most expensive ticket, but it was well worth it. We used the tickets all 3 days and really got our money's worth. Sightseeing is a really personal decision, but if you are planning a trip, you can get a rough idea of how much you might spend. We were in Cambodia for 18 days, but most of our sightseeing costs happened in the first 12 days because we went to Koh Rong for the last part of our trip and there was little to do or see on the island. Other expenses you need to be aware of is the visa cost. The visa costs $30 per person and you will need to pay when you arrive at the airport. The process is simple, but be ready to pay when you arrive. Other costs are souvenirs, which are largely a personal decision. If you are buying things for family or friends, most small items are a few dollars. Yvonne likes to collect fridge magnets, and she bought one for $1.50. Other souvenirs range from small chess sets and clothes to chopsticks and temple models. Most of the souvenirs were typical things you can get at touristy spots and didn't cost much. And finally, if you are traveling for a long time, you can do laundry for about $1 per kilogram. Overall, we spent $95 on other costs, which included massages, visas, souvenirs, and laundry. So there you have it. If you're planning on traveling in Cambodia, your daily cost per person will be about $55 if you're in the low to mid-range budget. If you're more of a budget traveler, your daily cost per person will be around $15 to $30 depending on your accommodation and food habits. Don't forget to check the links below if you need more information about hotels or traveling. Also, feel free to leave a comment below and tell us how much you spent when you were traveling in Cambodia, and if you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more travel videos in the future.